Studio Galaxy 473 in Confero. And you're back with the Galaxy Equalizers. In the second part of our show, remember the number to call is 410-3030, and we encourage you to subscribe to Studio Galaxy. Share and like our program. And this time we're speaking about hurricane pass with greater regularity in Grenada and in the Caribbean. Every time a hurricane pass and hit the Caribbean, whether it's Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, Grenada, the other islands, almost the same thing happened to us. The people in the lower income houses, lower income group, the houses are crashing as if it's Greek biscuit. The time has come for us to build hurricane-proof houses and better conditions. We live in a hurricane-prone climate. That must be part of our psychic. That must be part of our culture. And with us today, we have Gates and Joshua. The time has come. Every time a hurricane passes, we crying.
All them boathouse machine.
All the boathouse smash up. All the roof, we rest on it gone. Joshua.
Yes, it's a sad state of affairs, but we have to do better as we move forward. We have to look for better designs. Have to look not only for better designs, but designs that are aesthetically pleasing as well as able to withstand the hurricane with minimal damage. And I think the best way to move forward, if we look at countries that experience
Hurricanes and
natural
earthquakes.
disaster, hurricanes, etc., look at design, because oftentimes we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel has already been invented. What we have to do is to be responsible. You know, you knock down the boathouse, the hurricane knock it down, and you'll build back the same boathouse, waiting for the next hurricane to knock it down again. We have to do better. We have to be more progressive. We really have to look at designs that works and encourage those designs to be put in the Caribbean or in Grenada, and it has to be affordable. We have to have affordable housing. Housing is a human right for everybody. And we give so much subsidies to hotels, we give to business, give subsidies to the ordinary Grenadian houses.
I agree with you. We have countries that are prone to some natural disasters. For instance, Japan.
Hmm.
Japan is prone to hurricane.
Yeah,
Not to hurricane, but earthquakes.
yeah.
I think Japan
And
is
a
one
lot
of
of
the most.
tsunamis too.
And tsunamis.
Yeah.
But Japan houses are crumbling when earthquake pass.
Yeah, and the design is beautiful. That houses that they build to withstand, the earthquakes. They're beautiful houses. They tend to be single level houses, but they're beautifully designed. And with timber frame.
Even after disaster, Japan tells its people, don't bother to go and shock, pile up food. We have food. And you see people waiting in lines quietly and collect their food. The people have adopted to that discipline level. What happened to us in the Caribbean?
Something wrong.
What happened to all the individuals in the Caribbean? You build in some little houses, you put some nail in it. Before the hurricane pass, half of the nail pop up. Sometimes your roof and go, the nail missing. Now, who trained these architects and engineers and them?
Mr. Pierre, it's a culture that we have here, and it's endemic all over Grenada. For example, we lost banana being exported to Europe or the UK. What have we done about it? We're 50 years into independence. I can tell you, zero. We basically have inherited a group of leaders, and that's not only political leaders. It's leaders in industry, leaders in commerce who are basically decided to just follow fashion. They're not innovating, they're not creating better and bigger and stronger every year. It's like it works, so that's what will continue. Now, when you talk about food in terms of Japan and the lineup, the image that comes to my mind is order, law and order. But it doesn't come overnight. In order to have had the supply of food, they would have had to have the refrigeration, the storage capacity built, and they would have to turn over that food. Otherwise, that food would be no good. So they must have a system where every 6 months, what they have in storage, they sell it out and they put a new set in storage. Now, that requires thinking, discipline, planning. Far too often, we have adopted the culture of a quick laugh in the rum shop. We don't want to talk serious. What do this man? Why talking like that for? And using all these big words, So the culture has to change, and I think it's changing, and I think the reason why it will change is because it looks as though we have a pattern that has moved from every 50 years or 70 years to every 20 years. And next thing you know is every 10 years. And next thing you know is every year. So we have to change whether we like it or not. People like me, I'm okay because I don't have that many years left with you guys. I'm at the end of my innings, and, the little I have left, I go enjoy. But at the same time, I'm going to be responsible, and I'm going to advocate for better quality housing that is hurricane proof or disaster proof, whatever you want to say. But we can do better, and we need to do better, because the technology is already there. It's not like we have to go and send 10 men to kind of study for 20 years and come back with a design. Everything we need and we think we know is already on the internet. Every country.
Joshua,
It's how you're getting them to do
Joshua,
it.
Joshua had to remember.
It's how,
All the mango you suck, you didn't plant the tree.
Yeah.
The damsel you suck, you didn't plant the tree.
No.
The vehicle you ride in, you didn't own the vehicle.
Yeah.
So whether you're going no or not,
Yeah.
we not stopping speak about the future.
Yeah.
Because that is our game to prepare
Yeah.
the pitch
Yeah.
for the children to
Yeah.
battle.
One of the things I used to say, Mr. Pierre, and I need to remember it for myself. As a society, we need to learn to plant trees that we may never sit under. And so the point you make is valid and
And
taken.
we have to believe that people say are old already. Well, the people
Oh God,
who
Mr. Pierre,
did it
don't rub it
before.
in.
Well, no, the people who did it before, they never benefit from it. So we are speaking here now. We may get the wrath of the authorities that be. Our children may suffer, but that is what will prepare the future.
Yeah.
Gates,
Some would say
Gates.
it have too much trees.
We cannot have our houses crashing like that. We have to do better. We have to build better houses so that when a hurricane comes, you don't have to go down before the hurricane starts to eat it. What could we do? What are some of the things practical that the average man could do to make his houses stronger?
I don't know. It would come down to cost of materials. It come down to cost of screws.
Now the same 12,
Cost of I don't know.
if we're using screws and nails, and screws is better,
well, of course,
then we must propagate
the price.
that when you're building a house, then we demand that
Price-
government drop the
prices
price on
need to
screws.
drop on screws
You see,
and screw guns.
the
and
same
the material.
after a hurricane, all kind of people come in and help us. So if you know your housing stock is crashing, then you must do everything possible to prevent 60 and 70% of your houses crashing.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Pierre, and that's where the whole idea of strategic planning comes into play. So, for example, it's not going to cost us a fortune to have model houses all around the island where people could look. It's not going to cost us a
You have a call on
fortune.
the line? Let's take that call. Yes, caller, welcome. Welcome, caller. Welcome to our program.
The Bluetooth is on.
I'm hearing him.
Connect it.
Yes, caller, go ahead.
Connect it.
Yeah.
No.
Just in front.
I'm not hearing him at all.
I put it in for the mic.
That's can't make screen. Switch the screen. Talk still, Mr.
Yes, we have a caller on the line. We just, caller, we getting a little, hold on right with us. We have a little challenge getting you, but we think we'll get you right there. So just hold on a while and we want to hear that caller. Right? So we making some adjustments so we could hear you. We're hearing you, but the outside they're not hearing you. Right? You there?
Where's the Pierre?
What's the body put what he's saying in Panama? Yes, go right ahead, caller. Go ahead. Go right ahead. Oh, sorry. Please call us back. Please call us back.
Clifford, I just called him.
Yeah, sorry. Clifford. All right, please call us back. Yeah, the question is we have to build big. If we know that screws are 10 times stronger than nails.
He's back, Mr. Pierre.
Right? Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, wonderful. I was just saying, you were talking about the houses to build back better, and I do agree. But the system that runs this country, when you build house too strong, the carpenters won't get work. So they leave it like that, building back houses that anytime anything happens, a good breeze blow, the roof could blow out so they can get a next job. That's the kind of mentality that we have here. We don't cater for the lives of people, but how we use things like hurricane and natural disaster to make money. I was even looking at our agriculture, and I said we have to look at our ground provisions. Because in Jamaica, they use yam for the athletes, and they say because the athletes using yams, they're running faster. So we have to look at a lot of yam. So what we could do, we could say potato is what make our athletes run faster. So you sell it as, if the athletes use sweet potato, they'll be able to run faster, so we might get more production and people using sweet potato more. So I say what we could do sometimes, we have to thank God for things that happen. They not make sure that they're not paying us all day because again, $25 US all day for not paying us $3.50 a pound in Grenada. And I hear Mr. Pierre say he's not picking up you, and I guess I agree with you because there's no benefit in it. But the question is, we have to start looking at alternatives that we could do with our land because people don't see people are planting yam and potato as farmers. They see people are nutmeg and spices and as farmers. So if we look and see if we could test our potatoes and yams and dashins and see if we could get more out of it and advertise it better, we might be able to use it in hotels. All of the hotels don't look at our farmers; they look at the farmers in California and those other places because we're not using tractors and to plant our stuff. But we have to somewhere along the line, I believe, with the hotels here or the government, we have to go and pick it. Look, right nice time with all the hotels, all the ministers coming down and all the prime ministers coming down. Time for us to go and pick it as farmers out there and let them know that they're bringing. I agree with your caller there. that the hotels not buying stuff from us because they say our stuff is expensive. But if you're buying regular enough and we can get the volume out of them, our prices will be better. So we have to do something, do to the hotels and let them know at the end of the day, we are producing a good quality stuff, and quality stuff is cost. But if we get them to buy more regular from us, our prices will be able to reduce. So we'll be able to, both of us will be able to survive at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Yes, scholar, thank you for your call. We have to do better. Joshua, we cannot have the majority of our houses falling. And it seems as though they just removed the roof. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Hold on, I'm calling him back. That was an next caller.
Okay, sir.
ID's on now.
Okay. Yes, yes, scholar. Okay.
Yes, my dear brother. You hearing me now?
Yes, we hear you.
All right. Now, if we are talking about hurricane-proof housing, there's a whole list of things that we need to do, and first it has to start with government. Now, we have a building code of 1966 that have not been amended since then. The only sector of the construction industry that we inspect before people occupying the houses is the electrical section. We have all sorts of builders coming in and casting roof and all of that. We don't know the strength of the concrete because hurricane do knock down concrete too. Number one, we have to revise and amend the Building Code Act of 1966. Number two, we have to look at the banking laws. Amend the banking laws. We need legislation for that. Government have to look at ways on how they can have housing available, not for the affordable, but the vulnerable. After a hurricane, someone little house, wooden house is knocked down, they have to put it up because they have to live somewhere. They can't live on the Paradise Bridge. If you go to the bank for a loan, in some cases, it's possible for a single woman head of household earning $1,500 or less to secure a mortgage from the bank. So government in partnership with the banks have to look at long-term mortgages. And I notice now the government is selling houses at $70,000 a month, and the minister said, first come, if you come with the monies, you get the keys. A single woman head of household working for $1,500 a month, it is impossible for that person to pay a mortgage of, at a 10-year, it would be $783. Now, we are into the hurricane now, and we see firsthand what the destruction can be. So the first thing we must do is to get government and the banks must have a partnership where you extend on the mortgage to a 30 years, or 35 years, where a single woman working for $1,500 or less can get a mortgage for 35 years where they can have a monthly payment of $300 or $400, and they could secure an affordable housing. You have to look at the cost of building a hurricane-proof house today. A truck, 5 yards of cement, sand from St. George's to St. Andrews, one load is over $1,500. Gravel is about the same thing. You're looking at the aggregate alone. For one truckload, 5 yards of gravel or sand, it's over $1,500. A bag of cement now is $3,500 or more. A cement block, a 4-inch cement block, is $400. It's $4 or more, and you're not talking about transportation. So it's a combination of a lot of things that we have to do if we're talking about hurricane-proof. Hurricane-proof comes at a serious cost. And most people today living in wooden houses, they're living there not by choice. They're not there by choice. They're there because they don't have any other choice. They must leaving the house because that's what they could afford. And here's the reason why the hurricane comes. You knock down your house, you're in a rush to shelter yourself, you put it back in whatever way that you can, and you do so. So government have to make housing a priority. And government must sit with the banks and talk about a long-term mortgage, a 35-year mortgage, and stop the 10-year, because in 10 years, most people can't afford it. We have to look at changing the discriminatory laws of the banks that discriminate against people over 45 years that can't secure a mortgage. So it's a whole lot of things that we need to do before we start talking about affordable housing. Not affordable, but hurricane housing. It has to be a partnership. But government can start first by going to legislation, going to parliament, and amending that serious 1966 Building Code Act. When you look at somebody housing today, government don't even have no plans for inspection of a building. You do not have a building code where you have inspectors going around and looking at violations. Some buildings are leaning, some galvanized flapping out. You could fall and injure people. There is trees over houses. There has to be a building department with inspectors going around and inspecting houses, even in ordinary times, not just in hurricane, but in ordinary times. So there's a whole lot of things that we need to do before we're talking about. I think I would stop at that. There's a lot more, but there's other people that would want to voice their opinion on that. But I have been speaking about this for a very, very long time. I have been talking about the need for us to go back to the drawing board and amend the Building Code Act of 1966. And we must put systems in place. Without any systems in place, no regulatory system or laws, what is to stop someone from putting up a house and putting a 2-inch concrete roof? You will put in a 2-inch concrete roof with a 1/8 steel just to hold it out, or even cobweb, if you could get the cement to hold on the cobweb. And when it's finished, people live in there, because we do not have a certificate of occupancy requirement, where after a house is constructed, before someone could live in there, government must have a inspectorate division, a building inspectorate division, where you go and you inspect the houses to see if it's good for use. You look at the plumbing. Do we have licensed plumbers in Grenada? You could build a septic tank and it could be disturbing the neighbors. The most they'll do is to call the Ministry of Health. But do we have specifications of how septic tanks are going to be? How toilets supposed to be installed? All part of the building code. And here's the reason why we need comprehensive amendment to set guidelines, standards, and laws of how building houses have to be constructed. And we need to license the contractors. Everybody just can't come off. A guy go 2 days, he go in as a helper, mixing concrete, and in the next 6 months, you see, he turn around and he tell you he become a builder. We have to license our professionals to ensure that we're getting value for money, and they are building in a way that would protect life and property. I would stop here for now, my brother.
Well, definitely the discussion must start.
Could we have the caller's name before he goes?
Hey, my brother Baptiste.
That's Battis,
Michael.
Michael Battis.
The discussion must
right, thank you.
start. Yeah. The discussion must start. You cannot continue. We live in a region that is hurricane prone. Perhaps that's one of the disasters we expect most. And as such, we have to have discussion. We have to have discussion on these issues. It cannot be. Even if we build in a ply house, what you find the roof gone, all the ply, the rest of the house remain on the ground, and the roof gone. it means that the people just rest the roof. It's not to say the rafters break, and the lat break.
No, but we laughing, but
The
that's true.
whole roof
Whole
go.
roof go.
Oh dear.
Yeah, the roof just resting right there.
It means the roof was resting.
Mm-hmm.
If you see the rafters, was broken into pieces, some pieces of lat go.
Yeah.
How far do you put the rafters apart?
Mm-hmm.
What is the distance? How far do you put the lat apart?
Mm-hmm.
How much screws you put per square inch?
Yeah.
All these things have to be known.
Yeah. And one of the things I was saying, Mr. Pierre, was that again we need to have models. So when you have a hurricane-proof housing, what you can do is it's an open house, and you could break down the cost so people will know when they come to visit. So the roof will cost X amount, the flooring will cost X amount, the electrics will cost X amount. We can do that in different parts of the island so people can see um, how these things are done and how costly they are. And that gives us a starting block of how to do things. The other thing that we can get videos how the hurricane proof housing should be built and circulate it so the general consumer has an idea to pick up when a builder is saying to them, oh, this is hurricane proof, and they could see from the video model that, well, it doesn't meet the specification that they have. But we can generally raise all our education on housing together. The thing that we've talked about before is the need to have continuing education for the population, and it doesn't have to always be about 2 and 2 make 4, or this. It could be like practical things that we need to know, that we as a nation we educate ourselves together, and clearly there's a need for education in terms of hurricane-proof housing.
Where do we start? That's my problem with this.
But we start here now.
We start with talking.
Yeah, we start talking. You heard Brother Michael Baptiste coming in and talking about amendment to the building code
I agree with that.
1966 and to have inspectorate and etc. The discussion must go on. Every time you open your mouth, people believe that you're against the government that's in power. We have to have this discussion in the rum shop, in the houses. We have children doing social studies. So that can be a part of social studies.
Yeah. And we got to break
You in
that.
secondary school, you come home, whap, your mother house roof gone. Whap, the toilet roof gone.
Yeah.
You build a rabbit cage, whap, the rabbit roof gone.
Yeah.
So that is a joke.
Yeah, and we have to stick to facts. The whole concept of alternative facts, is just a joke. Facts is facts. Whether you belong to this group or that group or all the rest of it, facts remain facts.
Facts is facts.
Yeah, and that's what we have to stick to, and we have to have a greater sense of camaraderie and nation building. That is important. One set of people don't have all the answers. The other set of people don't have all the answers. Collectively, we have a better chance of coming up with the answer.
If you in during after Ivan, the beekeeping industry in Grenada was wrecked. Practically wrecked. You had men that lost 100 hives, 200 hives, 300 hives. Some men never returned to beekeeping. They just wipe their mouth and they walk away.
Yeah, and that's
If you say bee, they don't want to taste honey because the loss was so traumatic. And we came up with suggestions how to protect the hives. Because you do not have to lose hives in beekeeping. You could protect your hives, you could tie your hives down. We had steel in each sides of the hive. Had steel. And then you put it there permanent. And when the hurricane is about to come, you tie them down. So it's not easy to move it. It come like a stone. Yes, stone could move, but it minimizes the damage. You have advice was given to some farmers. You have your poultry pen. Use bolts. Tie it with wire. The whole pen must go, not piece of pen. And if the whole pen go, you might get back the whole pen and put it back.
Yeah.
But the weather cannot decree your pen. You have people with small shops selling rum. Well, in rum shop they sell Cafanol and Panadol and Andrews for salt and Eno and all them things they sell in rum shop. But when the hurricane come and your economic base is destroyed, your house destroyed, your economic, it's worse. So it's in the interest of the authorities that be, as you say, to come up with a little module and have it around.
Yeah.
How do you stop a man from building a boathouse?
Well, you can stop a man. You don't want to stop anybody. That's a democracy.
You have to stop him.
No, you don't
so he
have
could do the right thing.
You don't have to stop him. What you have to do is educate him. Nobody wants to put up a house and let it fall. Even mad people don't want that. But once you educate him, and then you have the children doing social studies, that must be an aspect of social studies. So even the children in the schools, they have mommy, you have to use hurricane clips. You know?
Yeah, so teaching
What
them.
distance the rafters supposed to be? It mustn't be more than 2 feet. The lat, what distance the lat supposed to be? This thing is evident. In fact, if a child doing area in school, the best example is to go and measure the house to see how much galvanized you need. Because area is length by breadth. The child supposed to tell you how much tiles that come on the floor. Let us practicalize the story. And we have Japan as an example in terms of earthquakes.
Yeah.
I know. Is
It
that
could be
amazing?
done. Where do we start? We start now. We start here. We start provoking that discussion. So whether it's in the after church or on the roadside, and some of the intellectuals who have studied these things should be making their contribution.
Absolutely. And, it might be a good time to have an input with physical planning so that they can hear some of the voices of the people, what we calling for, because it's often too easy to have a code that doesn't work and continue it and claim, well, this is the specifications that we have, and so that's what we work into. I saw a blast from the past with the CBI project, where I kept hearing the CEO talking about their remit, and they're not charged to do that. And I said to myself, where do we get this level of conservatism with that we can't innovate and create a system that benefits all the people or the vast majority of the people, rather than what was being claimed? They had about 40 people who were benefiting from the CBI project as agent, and those 40 people were millionaires, or the project had made them millionaires. And this person was there, in oblivion to what he was saying. What he didn't realize was that he was just basically replicating an old colonial system that has subjugated the majority of the people at the benefit of the few. And here he was, in broad daylight on TV, advocating this like if it was a great thing. And sometimes we lose our way and we hide behind legislations or policy that is outdated and no longer work, rather than saying, oh, we need to change that quickly. And we have a system where we could change it quickly. So we could make a submission to cabinet and cabinet could suspend it overnight.
But I always say a people deserve the government they have. And people have to change things. When you look around you, I asked a sister the last time, look at all the guys in your community and tell me in 10 years where they're likely to be. Tell me in 20 years where they're likely to be. I said, don't answer me now. She met me about 3 weeks after that and we engaged in conversation again. He said, well, some of them go be in jail, some of them teeth go fall out. They're drinking so much rum, they turn down, they behaving bad. I say, by the time they're 50, she said, well, most of them might be in the poorhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes we we are our own worst enemy.
Yeah. So, Mr. Pierre, for the sake of discussion, I know we're looking at building and how we could build back better and more economically. But, I hear what you're saying, that the people get the government that they deserve. But what you have to remember is there's a lot of fraud that operates in the society unbeknown to the ordinary person. And misinformation is one of the frauds that happen. Seduction is one of the fraud that happens to the ordinary people. So the ordinary people quite often are not making a decision based on knowledge because, I remember a wise professor once saying to me, Joshua, if you're in a valley, depending on where you stand, if you're at the bottom of the valley, determines what you see. If you climb to the top, you will see something different. So sometimes it's not that we get the government that we deserve. Sometimes we are deceived, Mr. Pierre. Sometimes we are deceived and deceived badly. And one of the things that we don't do very well, we don't say, okay, we're 50 years old as a nation. And we've had this banana problem for 50 years. So we've had 50 years, we've had 5 or 10 governments. How come we still have this banana problem? you know, and then people don't see, like, we have government, but things doesn't get better. It doesn't change. And the reason why quite often it doesn't change is because government gets into power and they bring all their supporters, their men, and they give them political positions. And then we have a disaster like Beryl. And then it all comes to the fore because all those men you put in position to win the next election, because you didn't put them in position to help the country move forward, you put them in position to protect you and win the next election. Now Beryl come and we're looking for skills and we're looking for technical know-how, and the men can't do anything for you.
Right.
They don't know. I believe they just don't know.
So
They don't know how to
so
go about dealing with it.
people, we have to educate our people. So you listen to something, you analyze it and come up with a decision. One individual was very critical of me on the radio, and I asked, do you listen to my program? He said, no, you'll never listen to this program. I said, well, you never hear my program, and you're so critical of the program. Somebody told him what I was saying on the radio. I said, well, why don't you listen to my program for yourself and come up with your position?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have.
So this is a culture.
Yeah, we have the culture of non-thinking and by association because, many people tell me, well, if you with Pierre, you have to be
You're in
green.
trouble.
Yeah. So, and I am, I try to be involved in nation building. That doesn't stop me discussing with Mr. Pierre or anybody. I have my own views, but we like to label people. We like to label by association. And what people don't realize, it's good to have different views, It's stimulating. It causes you to rethink. It causes you to even change each other's minds when you hear each other. And that's what learning is about.
I make it my duty to speak about policies.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best not to get too involved in individual mistakes because we're not a perfect people. We're going to
Yeah.
make mistakes.
Yeah.
Particularly politicians, they're speaking out of script.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
going to excite things and make mistakes.
Yeah.
But some of the challenges we have in the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
and not sometimes when you speak, they believe Grenada is unique. The situation throughout the Caribbean is the same thing.
Yeah.
And in some instance, we might even be better off.
Yeah. That's why we have to keep pushing ahead and move towards getting better housing that can withstand hurricane. We might not be able to withstand a hurricane of the scale of a 7, but we should
A
be
4.
able. Yeah, we should.
A regular hurricane now is a 4.
Yeah,
A category 4 house and those supposed to mash up all the house,
yeah,
mashing up government school,
yeah,
mash up the church.
yeah,
They just repair church about
yeah.
5 years ago. Maybe the builder must find too much screws. Well, how much screws you put per square inch?
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a scientific thing.
Yeah.
So where is our engineers and what you call them, architects and designers? That's supposed to be information available.
Yes, I agree.
2.5 inches screw, X amount per square inch.
Yeah, and Mr. Pierre, the kind of houses, that model houses I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the house, where it's all put together. You have the finished house all put together, but on the side you have the roof in isolation, and you show all the equipment that's used as the roof and the costing. You have the siding separate, so you take the house apart, and the people could cost the roof, the siding, the floors, the electrics, everything. So when you leave there, you have an idea. You could even build the damn thing yourself,
This little 12 by, I say a 16 by 16 model house is perhaps what the poor of the poor strive for. A 16 by 16. And you could have ply. And you could take galvanize and cover the ply. After you put the ply house, you could take galvanize and cover the outside of the ply.
Even better, you could put mesh in.
You could
and
put
plaster
mesh in what? You could take bamboo.
and
You could
plaster it, yeah.
get the ply. And you could get bamboo in the right moon and cover it. We
Yeah.
have to be innovative and take the economic situation.
Yeah,
But you see, I believe one of the challenges we have, we're petting some export too much. They're coming around town showing off, speaking English more than the Queen. And they are not practicalizing the certification. And we're accepting that. Some of the worst farms I've seen is university farm. And I'm saying, well, how you could be a university and you have this rusty pig on the farm? But they don't have these animals for commercial reasons. They have it for disease. Well, separate. So they keep an animal old, you have plenty disease. So that is a good teaching. But with the commercial aspect of it, and governments gravitate to these institutions who is not in your economic interest. You have a disease animal, you get rid of it. A pig make a run to get rid of that. That is the commercial aspect of it. And we have too much of dumb politicians. Because your country you have to feed your people.
Somebody's asking if do we ban nails.
We put tax on nails.
Yeah, put tax on nail and take a tax on
And
screw.
drop all the tax on screws.
I agree.
And screw gun.
I agree.
And we have to demand that the government do that. We have to demand. Because the government, the government need to do, because I was told by my local expert, one nail is strong as 10
Screw. No, one
screw strong as 10. A good screw. A good screw strong as 10 nail.
That's what she said.
And I noticed that in the rum shop. When we playing domino and we jumping up, we just take a bottle and pound down the nail. But when he have screw, he ain't coming up. Sometimes nail cut your pants. You ever bring a woman with a nice white pants in the rum shop here? Give her a little seat. After you beg her to come in the rum shop.
I've never had the
and the
privilege.
nail cut your white pants. Sometimes you have to beg and cry because she leave you,
Yeah.
Never come back in this rum shop.
Yeah.
She said the barman fingernail look a Shelton toenail.
Yeah.
She know what kind of rum shop we have.
Yeah.
And the glass red.
Yeah.
But we like it.
But I could sympathize because I don't really go in the rum shop because all I see is some strange looking men with no teeth.
What we
politics.
gonna do? No food. But you know,
Joshua.
food. No, the rum shop not selling food. What you expect them to
Rum
do?
inside it.
You have some countries that demand, If you're selling someplace, if you're selling alcohol as what they call the bars, then you have to sell food to it. But all rum shops don't sell food.
Yeah, but
So-
the rum shop is good because every one of the rum shop debaters are the leader of their own party.
Well, the rum shop is really the symposium.
Oh, okay.
That's where you go and have a discussion.
the fertilization of
Yes,
ideas.
the rum shop is a symposium.
Right,
You go there to have a discussion after dinner.
right,
Discussion
right.
and a drink after
Yeah.
dinner. And if you in a fishing community, fishing might dominate it.
Right,
If
right.
you're in agriculture, if you're in a mining, whatever you're in.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, how could we advance our discussion? How could we put some teeth on it that maybe we can get a model hurricane-proof house in Grenada? Maybe we might not get one in every parish, but maybe we could put one. I'm from St. Andrews. Maybe we could put one in the Plainfield in St. Andrews.
And maybe we have to continue to talk about it. You heard
Yeah,
Brother Michael Baptiste?
Uh-huh.
And Michael Baptiste is a very strong individual in terms of agitating at the local level.
Yeah.
And even in the rum shop too.
Yeah.
And if you come in karaoke, Michael's singing too.
Yeah.
So and Michael is up on it. So
Yeah.
what we need to do is to continue this discussion
We want the Mitchells to be up on it, Mr.
and
Pierre.
challenge the authorities that
You know.
well, obviously, a good politician would always be cognizant of what's going on the ground because that's the momentum. But if people are losing their homes and we are speaking about it, they're going to gravitate towards it.
Yeah.
And I believe the government must drop all taxes on screws and screw gun
Yeah.
and anything that will help
Raise the
in making
prices and
strong.
nil.
All the hurricane straps and certain wire to tie. I use a wire to tie. One skilled man tell me that wire easy to bust. Don't use that. That don't good.
Mad.
Tell me you're wasting money.
You're wasting money,
And
man.
I bought a few rolls. I said I go tie down everything.
Yeah.
But
Hurricane straps better.
tell me so I'm using cement rope.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
better than it.
Yeah.
But we have to have answers.
Yeah.
We can't continue.
And we have
like
to move more. I'm wondering, even if we can't get a physical model on the ground so our people can benefit from it.
Like a design.
Yes, whether
Well,
we can
somebody
get a design, a 3D model or whatever they
But somebody young one that come to school, if they're willing to communicate with us, we could tell them what we want, and they could design it.
Yeah, and
And we put it up there
yeah,
and shame the export.
yeah.
So use an architect, you can make a damn little model
Yeah.
for those. You
because I think that would be practical, so people can see.
call that shock therapy.
Yeah,
When you present it, and
Yeah.
the export now have to look at it, and he never thought about it.
yeah. I often.
So we could do that
Yeah, I like the.
because we know what needs to be done.
I like the shock therapy. It's a good thing. Often, I shock myself with a good rivers and
Yes, no, you're talking.
I call it shock therapy.
yeah,
Shock therapy.
little rivers are overproof rivers.
But when it is done again in a good rum shop,
Yeah.
even more satisfying.
Yes.
And
I
you-
like that, Monsieur
And you're
Mr. Pierre.
supposed to feel the heat in it. And when it rock when
Yeah.
it goes into your mouth.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as it goes down, it
Yeah.
expands.
Yeah, because you see, for me, that is more economical. I could drink 4 or 5 beers and okay, but one good rivers and a good.
I wonder-
So
I
you
wonder-
save me money.
And they're surely going to give us a bottle for advertising.
Rivers on the go.
Yeah, we definitely have to get answers and we have to move expeditiously We have to continue to
Yeah.
advocate and
we,
talk.
we have to say within a month, let's see if we could get, a model up, regardless if it's just a copy we get from Japan or the internet, so people could see. We make a start.
Well, perhaps we could get one of the computer whiz in our country to sit down with us and we design a house that we believe is hurricane proof. Obviously, we cannot have rafters 4 feet apart. The hurricane going with everything. You just take out the top.
Yeah. But
I think the houses should be bomb sheltered, but put the roof on top of it.
I don't
Put the
know.
galvanized on top there.
You're talking about 16 by 16,
Yeah.
low income. They don't ply and wood. How could we put ply and wood and have it resistance against relatively good resistance against a category 4 hurricane?
because when I was just browsing the Japanese design, it was wood that they were using.
Wood.
Yeah.
In some instances, after they put the ply, you could put galvanized, and we have a lot of old galvanized. Don't throw you old galvanized, and we could put old galvanized, on the ply. Or you could get bamboo now, the whole long bamboo, and put it in the back of the ply. So you have ply, but you have bamboo. So you have a house that has could take some chafing.
But we're talking about the roof here. How are we going to use the wood?
We could, because
lock the roof?
you see, one of the challenge we have, we rest wood. We take some 2-inch nail and put in
we'll just rest it.
a 3-inch nail and put in a 2-inch wood over thing. The hurricane just go into the whole roof. It's like when a nice wind blow and one of those beautiful movie stars, everything go up the sky. So the wind coming, just take everything and go. So we have to have roof. Let the wind break the runner.
But
we are not having that.
Yeah, but also, Mr. Pierre, one of the things that we have to do is to be a little bit more scientific with our locations where we build in the house and what it's exposed to, so that the people who are building the houses have an idea in terms of the dangers of the area, whether it's flooding, whether it's more exposure to wind, etc. And the same way we're talking about, building our farms better and having kind of windbreakers, the same way a village could have be planned in a way that it's not so susceptible to natural disasters. There are things that we possibly could do. It might be the height of the buildings. It might be the layout of the building. All of those things now has to be considered. In the past, what we do, we look at a nice design, aesthetically pleasing, and we build a house. But we have to take more into consideration now. We have to take the environment into consideration when building.
The gentleman gets use the word bomb shelter. And maybe your toilet and bathroom could be a mini bomb shelter.
Yes.
And particularly where we want
That's a good idea.
Toilet, inside toilet for everybody. That is the objective.
Yeah.
So although you have a ply house 16 by 16, that toilet itself is like a bomb shelter.
Yeah.
And you could use it like a log wood.
Yeah.
Even though you're using wood,
Yeah.
it's like log wood you use. So that toilet, so even in a worst case scenario, a family may able to be rescue themselves in the bathroom and toilet.
But I agree with that as well. But let's make a commitment to Grenadians that we advocate by 2050, every Grenadian household will have an inside toilet.
You want to go in politics?
No, but these are social
What we could do is we could advocate.
That's what I mean. Let's
and we could
advocate.
come up with a model, our own model.
Yeah.
And perhaps by coming up with a model, the export will fix it.
Yeah.
Because our exports are lazy. The University of the West Indies have not done justice to development in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Well,
So
John Compton said that, John Compton So I'm not just saying that by
Yeah, yeah.
myself alone because I just a cock.
The-
But the unit, you have these big institutions. They are your think tanks, and they're supposed to be coming up with answers.
Yeah. And one of the things that I learned from you, Mr. Pierre, being on the chat with you, is that we have institutions and we have systems that should work, but they don't work. So one of the things you always tell me, the ministry, you're waiting on the ministry, you know, GDB, you know.
Yeah.
So what
Well,
I'm-
the real GDP now, so forget that.
yeah. One of the things I want to advocate is that we stop relying on institutions and politicians, and we all accept the responsibility that is really and truly all of us. We all have the responsibility to develop our nation. We all have the responsibility to find solutions. And if we know, for example, that the system doesn't work, why do we keep waiting on it? Why do we keep depending on it? We know that the caliber of leadership that we've had in the Caribbean has not been, what we wanted. But that is an endemic problem all over the world. What has to happen is, especially in small developing states, the people have to be more involved in terms of the development. You cannot no longer, in all conscience, elect a man who has been, a clerk, taking payments maybe for something, and then he's a minister after the election, and expect him to be godlike and solve all the problems. That does not make sense, people. That does not make sense. We already have the brain drain. Most of the people who are, our innovators, whatever, they're gone to US, etc. So we have to push ourselves and find the solutions and the answers that we seek in. It's too lazy to depend on the politician. It's too lazy to hope that we have a regional gathering and they're going to solve our problems. I see some nice kind of, symbols down in Granans in Morris Bishop Highway, But what we should be doing is, as farmers, there should be 10,000 of us outside that meeting and putting our agenda on the meeting what we want. But what we do, we go in the rum shop.
Maybe we could start. Maybe we could
Shock
start.
therapy.
Maybe we could start on Studio Galaxy.
Yes, well, we've started.
Provoking the discussion without fear. You
Yeah.
see, that's where the challenge comes. But if you don't expect me to go in GDB for a loan now. You talk about GDB, no loan. You talk about that in
GDB gave me
agriculture,
a
no
loan within a
assistance.
week.
Well, you're lucky. You're very lucky. So individuals have to prepare to provoke discussion,
Yes.
but recognize that they're going to come after you.
Yeah.
And once you don't see some of our journalists get quiet.
Yeah.
So we have to, on Galaxy Equalizers, continue to discuss this stuff.
Yeah. But
And they cannot deny facts.
there's serious consequences,
Of course, there are
to
consequences.
this. Mr. Pierre, being on the same program with
You didn't trouble.
I don't get a call from NDC for a consultancy
No.
job.
You forsake that which you have.
Kick that out the door.
Imagine if you are a Pierre, you look like a Pierre.
Oh,
You must
God.
be worried you won't get a scholarship.
Yeah.
You won't get a job to teach.
Oh,
I said, go over the plant you were talking about job
Yeah,
to teach.
yeah.
Go home and teach your children.
Yeah.
So we have to continue because in the long run, this country is better. If we're able to get somebody who could do 3D or 3 wire, whatever, we say we want a 16 by 16 ply house.
Model.
Go and watch a ply house 16 by 16. Bring it on 3D. We will tell you what to add. And then we could present that model. Because we don't know about DNY, but you know.
Yeah.
But we know what we want.
Yeah.
And then we start to put that on paper and advocate it. And in that way, the experts go be ashamed and they go take it and fix it. We have to start somewhere. Anyway,
Yeah,
gentlemen, we're real happy, and we have two young ones with us. It's good to show the face.
Yes, sometimes.
Please see if you could direct the camera. Don't bury your face. Don't bury your face. Don't bend your head, man. You're
Don't bend your head, man.
Come on, man.
Put up your head, man.
You see? No. We're trying to work with some young people, but they're not so comfortable around the old people. And that is the challenge. We want the young ones to work with us. So that was Elisa. Elisa is a student from National College. And we have Devante, and they are students from National College. They're very uncomfortable with these old people and them around here. But we're trying. So if we could get another student with 3D, and 3Y,
We are sure they have
we
one.
definitely could come up with a model. And when we present it, the export go bore a hole in it, and then they could take it, no problem. We're looking for recognition. That's the end of this story with us. Joshua, you in?
Well,
1 minute.
I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank everybody in the studio. But I want everybody to know that within themselves, they have the power to make this society a stronger and a better society. But they must believe and work towards that end. Nobody ain't going to save us but ourselves.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Yes. So I want a shock therapy.
Yeah, you want a shock therapy. Alcoholic.